Listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. They call him the boat, and we getting ready to float on. How you doing, dog? How you feeling?
I'm floating on, Book. I'm floating on. You know, actually, I'll be honest with you. Remember how a few months ago we had the little conversation about the home warranty companies and how good they can be, but how frustrated I was with them at the time.
Yeah.
Well, now I went in. It's not the one that everybody gets, but I went with a car warranty, company, because my truck is about paid off. So I said I'm gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off. I'm gonna get the extended warranty through this entity. Okay. And so I got it, and I had to use it for the first time this week. Had a little check engine light come on. Boom, took it down to the shop. Shout out to the shop that I go to, Christian Brothers, over there in Friendswood. And so I'm going there, drop it off. I get a call from them. They said, "Hey, we figured out what's wrong with it. We're going to call it into the warranty company." I said, "Man, this is great. I love this thing. This thing is awesome." Right? I said, "Well, what's wrong with it?" He said, "Oh, you got some turbo hoses that are out. You got an O2 thing that needs to be replaced. It's going to be about $3,000 in repairs." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I got this warranty." He calls me back about an hour later. He's like, "All right, good." And I needed an oil change, by the way. I needed an oil change. He goes, "All right, guys. So good news." I said, "What?" He said, "I got good news, bad news." I said, "All right, what's the bad news?" He said, "Well, they don't cover anything that you need done on your I said, "All right, well, what's the good news?" "They will pay for the oil change." I said, "Okay." So, the one thing I wasn't sweating was paying for a $50 oil change. So the other $2,950 I'm on the hook for. So thank you, warranty companies, again, for making the boat's life so easy to deal with.
Well, you should have checked out the fine print.
Well, that's what they said. They said, "Well, we have exclusions." I said, "Okay, so all this is on your exclusion sheet?" She said, "Well, one of them is, and the other, the O2 cap, we don't even put that on the exclusion sheet, but it's just not something we cover."
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate it.
Hey,
I really.
man, I'm gonna tell you, dog. That's just the way it is, man. AC went out here upstairs. And the last tech came out, checked it out, and he said, "Man, I'm gonna tell you right now. The last guy came out here and hooked you up. He really did a really bad job. All right, he screwed everything up with that. But I'm gonna go up there and fix it." Went up there and fixed it. I don't know how much money I paid him, but everything started leaking, roof damage, all kind of stuff going on right now. And I call him back out here. He goes up here, checks it out, fix the problem. But I go, "What about the damage? Who do we talk to about that?"
that real important part.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Because the air conditioner, all he had to do was unplug something and it was fine. He didn't have to fix nothing. But I got all kind of water damage now that I'm on the hook for. You know what I mean? So I get it, man. I get it. That's just the way the old mouth flop of being. That's the joy of being a homeowner. You know what I
The
mean?
joy, you say.
That's the joy of being a homeowner, man. Everybody always say, man, I want to get a house, man. I'm going to get a house, man. They don't understand what what it actually means. I'm getting a house. I'm going to tell you right now. Ask Evander Holyfield. He had when they kicked him out of his mansion, he had a $5 million landscaping bill.
Whew.
$5 million. Landscaping. Cut the grass. $5 million. You know what I'm saying? So you better know what you getting into when you buy a house, man, especially when you buy one of them big houses. You know what I mean? I got a pretty big house. And I tell you, man, with 3 air conditions, and you gotta be making money just for that alone.
Yeah, I'm not gonna obviously put your business out there, but I know not too long ago you had to get a new roof, right? Like a few
Yeah.
years ago. And
Yeah.
I remember asking you, how much does that roof cost? And you told me the number. And I actually thought that I might just pull over the automobile, turn the car off, and just quit life. Because I heard how much it costs for a roof at the Huffman House. I was
Yeah,
like, oh
man. I'm
oh my
serious, dog. I mean, it's crazy, man. I mean, I just got the pool surfaced, you know, and it was what, $6,000
oh man.
just to resurface the pool, just to resurface it, just to put a new. But I did put in one of those, you know like little like rocks in it and all kinds. It does look cool, you know what I mean? But $6,000, man, $6,000 they hit me for a little grip. But it
It's
looks
a nice
good.
little grip. But I
It's
guess
good.
the good thing about home ownership is, at least you have equity, right?
Sure.
You're not throwing money, away in rent. Like you
Uh,
got equity. So if I need
oh,
to sell this thing, I can make money on it right now.
hey, bro, if I was to sell the house right now, it'd be worth almost 4 times what I paid for it.
Woo!
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm good, man. So I'm good. I don't mind spending money around the house. I'm gonna keep spending money around the house. Because I gotta live here. You gotta be comfortable at home. I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna go outside, hit a few golf balls, gotta make sure the green is nice and tight. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, and he's referring to the green in his backyard for you common folk who don't know. Your book's got it like that.
I'm in my golf room right now. Actually, I got a little golf room. You know what I mean? Everything, man. You know what I mean? You work hard to make sure everything's good, man. That's what I do, man. I'm always available when I'm available. I just got a call a little while ago, so I'm doing some work, and I'm supposed to be off for the next couple of months, actually. And they called me, say, "Book, we need you to do some stuff over the phone, if you possibly can, Zoom." I go, I possibly can get that done. When y'all want to do this? 5 minutes. I'm serious, dog. I swear to God. So I say I'm available. You know what I mean? I was sitting on the sofa. I was available. So I made myself available. That's what it's all about, baby. That's what
I
life's
was I was available for the work. I mean, I wonder, like, how after September 11th, like the airports changed forever. Like we never went back to the way it was before. And I went on a few flights when I was real young, and I kind of remember it being way more lax, right?
Remember when they could
I-
smoke on the airplane?
Right. Have you
That's
ever
all
heard the Vince story from Bruce about the $1 Million Man and how the idea came up? It happened on
No,
the air.
no, how'd it go?
Is when Vince and Bruce were on a flight, and there was a guy smoking on the plane. And so Vince said, hey, pal, you put that cigarette out? The guy said, no, I'm not going to put it out. Vince goes, I'll give you $100 to put the cigarette out. The guy's like, no. And then they keep going up. I think Vince ends up getting to about $1,000 cash to put the cigarette out. Damn it. And the guy eventually puts the cigarette out for the $1,000. And then Vince turns to Bruce and goes, everybody's got a price, damn it. And that's where the idea of the $1 Million Man came from.
Hey, man, I like it. I like it.
Real life.
Hey, man, you know what? That's our real player there. You know what I mean? Hey, man, $100. You know, 200, 300. I mean, $1,000 just put a cigarette out. That just goes to show you, man. Everybody got a price
For the $1
Everybody
million
got a price.
man.
The $1 million man. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
ask you one thing,
No,
though.
go ahead.
It's because 9/11, right? Things didn't go back to normal. Do you think that now, like post-pandemic, and we're not all the way out of it, but we're for the most part out of it, right? Do you think post-pandemic, like the Zoom things, because we still do our show this way, like it's
Yeah.
become much easier. You just did some work for a show that you're working on via Zoom. You're on Raw Talk all the time via Zoom in your studio. Do you think those things will ever go away?
No, I think StreamYard, Zoom, these companies that came up, they just came up at the right time, man. I mean, man, I wish I'd have been in on that. Because yeah, man, it's just a new way of life, and I think it's just easier for everybody. I don't think it hurts the product any. Of course, being in studio for certain things, for certain for certain aspects, I think you should be in the studio. But I think from our perspective, the way we're doing our show, I think it's cool, man. I think it's cool. Your studio looks good. My studio looks good. It actually feel like some international stuff. it's real. I'm serious, man. It's the computer thing is I never in a million years would think I would be able to communicate and work from this perspective. I remember when I was working at the American Mini Storage, and we got a computer in. I know we got to take a break. We got one of those big computers in. I had to figure out how to check people in and sign them up to rent their units, whatnot. And it was a game on there I used to play all the time. It was like just one dot. It was the coolest game in the world. Never in a million years I would think I would be playing Ghost of Tsushima and live and in living color the way I'm playing it right now on PS4, PS5. But we got to take a break. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
See, with Harlem Heat, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the fame. It was about the reckoning.
Edge, you have a big match tonight. Tell me, what's going on in your mind?
This is summer. Hey, kid. Did a good job out there, man. Maybe next time, though. Hey, what do you know about it next time? Boy, you crazy? Jump up. Hey, back up. Hey, back up. It's lost your mind. Come on. Come on. I got your number.
Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We got a few things to talk about, but we're going to rely on you guys to help fuel the show here today, guys. And let me make sure I get my plug in there. Coming to you live from ESPN 97.5, 92.5. Just want to make sure I get that out there, guys. Let y'all know where we coming from in the H town. And we do call it H town, Houston, Texas. H town is the moniker. So to speak. What's up?
I mean, I know you said on the last episode that you and Pritchard got into it about Bruce Pritchard, about if it's H-Town or not. Now, what did he say that it was? Did he say we just call it Houston? But
I can't remember what he said we call it, or if he said we call it anything, but he said we don't call it H-Town. I don't know what
who's he?
I don't know who he is. But he was having a conversation with some guys at Gorilla who was, like I say, saying H-Town, and he was like, arguing with those guys that it wasn't called H-Town. Then I go to the table and say, H-Town, what's up? We in the building. And he comes in my ear and say, you're not even from Houston. You're from Friendswood. I'm like, what are you talking about? I am from Houston. I moved to Friendswood. But yeah, man, it's going to always be H-Town as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it says it on the Houston Rockets jerseys, H-Town. in their city jersey. So it doesn't really matter. We are relying on our audience today. Any topic that you want to talk about, anything that you want to address here in the Hall of Fame, we will address it all in the Hall. Book, you look like you have some on your mind.
No, but we got it's a couple of things that I want to talk about. I was reading an article, and it was about Lex Luger, and Lex Luger he said if he was to get a WWE Hall of Fame induction, he would walk onto the stage.
Oh man,
would that be something special, man? And the thing is, Lex Luger, he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Get that out of there, out of the way right now. There is no question in my mind whether Lex Luger should be in the WWE Hall of Fame or not. Yes, he should, man. The dude did a lot for the business, and he was a major player. I always looked at Lex Luger as a major star. I always thought he was upper echelon, top tier guy. And I'm not talking about his work or anything like that. I'm just talking about his aura and his persona and what Lex Luger brought from a overall broad perspective, top guy in the business. So yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. What do you think?
Oh, Lex Luger, for sure a Hall of Famer. I mean, Lex could be a Hall of Famer because the thing is, to me, a Hall of Famer, there's a few kind of, I think, criteria that you could say is qualifier. But even if you look at Lex's WWF career, he was a Royal Rumble winner. He wrestled for the world title at WrestleMania, right? I mean, he had big moments like slamming Yokozuna on the USS, whatever it was, right?
Intrepid.
There you go. The USS Intrepid. I mean, yeah, the brother's a Hall of Famer just on those moments alone. And then what he did as the narcissist Lex Luger, what he went to WCW and did as the total package, the torture rack. Yeah, I think he's a total Hall of Famer. This guy was a member of the Four Horsemen. It was actually great to see. I got to sit and watch one of the panels at StarCast, and one of them was of the Four Horsemen, and Lex Luger was on that stage with Flair and J.J. Dillon and Arn and Tully, and he's the guy, man. So I think it would be awesome. Now, for those of you who say, what do you mean? Why would it be important for him to walk on the stage? Because for what? Has it been almost a decade now, if not around there?
Yeah.
Lex had an issue where he was paralyzed. He was a quadriplegic for a minute, and he started to get some feeling, I think, back in his arms and things of that nature. And then his legs are still a little wobbly, but I know he's made progress in the last few years. It would be great to see Lex accept that honor. He deserves.
No, he deserves it, man. I would love to see him get the nod. I would love to see Lex get the nod, just because, not just for what he's brought to the game and what he did in the business, just from what he's endured, as of late over these last 10 years, like you say. And I watch Lex Luger, like when I go to Comic-Con and, events like that. And dude, man, I don't see anybody's spirit as high as Lex Luger. He seemed like he's that. I don't know how he does it, but I swear it seems like he's the happiest guy in the room. You know what I mean? So I give him a lot of credit, man, for being able to, stare, what he's going through right in the eye and deal with it like a grown man, like a real man. I give him so much credit for that, man, because I swear, man, I question myself, how would I be in a situation, when you come to it like that. I've always been able to deal with situation pretty good, but you just never know. And I admire him a whole lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, I can't even imagine going through. Well, I think the thing for me is thinking about Lex Luger, this unstoppable, force. When you talk about physiques in the industry and just a guy on paper who had all the tools, right? I don't know if Lex was like the greatest promo in the world, but he wasn't bad. Was Lex the greatest worker in the world? No, but what could he get the job done? Could he go out and tell the story that he wanted to tell? Absolutely. He might not have been like Bret Hart inside the squared circle, or a Booker T for that matter, or Shawn Michaels, but he could go out there and tell the story that he needed to do. If you go watch his matches in the maybe late 80s, early 90s with Flair, now I know he's working with Flair, but those are some phenomenal matches that they had with one another. So I think just if you look at all the qualifying boxes, he really is the total package, and he might as well add Hall of Famer to that, but to go from that physique, my point was going to be to go from that physique to having issues even moving around anymore, the damage that could do on somebody's psyche. I can only imagine, what the mental battle, like you said, for the last several years has been for Lex Luger. And to me, he was one of those guys who kind of went completely off the radar. Like, you didn't hear about Lex, you didn't see Lex, he didn't do any interviews, he didn't do anything. And I really, and it's been nice to see him as of late come out more and do more interviews. I know he's on Smack Talk with you and Peter Rosenberg and Jackie Redmond, and he's got his WWE documentary coming out. I hope that this is the precursor to WrestleMania 39. Let's put Lex in the hole, y'all, because you know what? The thing is, too, with WWE is sometimes they've missed the boat on a couple of guys before it was too late, right? Like Vader. Vader this year went in the Hall of Fame. It'd have been great to see Vader, Leon White, on that stage and be able to give that speech that only Vader could.
Vader time.
Vader time. And only a few guys have ever been able to, there have been a few times where guys have been, passed before they could get inducted properly. And Macho Man Randy Savage, Kurt Hennig, to name a few. So let's do it while we still got the legends here. Definitely. Not everyone has the flowers where they can still smell them.
I remember I wrestled Lex Luger, WCW Saturday Night, and man, we had a really awesome match. And I put him over. I was just beginning to work singles matches and whatnot. And he cut a promo after, and there again, we didn't have scripted promos or anything back then. And Lex cut a promo, and the first thing he said in the promo was how good I was. He put me over, he built me up. You know what I mean? Even though he beat me, he still made me at the same time. And I always appreciated that from Lex Luger, because it was something that he did not have to do. He could have just went out there and just put himself over, which most guys do. You know what I mean? But he had the wherewithal to say, I just beat a guy who is, who's coming up. I just happened to catch him at the right time, perhaps. You know what I mean? Almost like, Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? Catch him while he's young. You know what I mean? And just a little bit too inexperienced to pull this thing off. But I always appreciated that so much from Lex Luger. Seriously.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know a lot, about Lex outside of, his wrestling career. I don't know what kind of guy he was. I don't know anything like that. But just from what I can tell, he seems like, a quality human being as far as how he treated others. Now, I don't know anything about his background. I could be completely wrong, but just on the face of everything, he seems like a decent guy to me when I see him in interviews.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah. So Lex Luger for the Hall of Fame. We'll see. And you know what? Who else did we advocate for? There was somebody else that we advocated for the Hall of Fame, because I don't know if you realize this last class of Hall of Famers, we advocated for every one of them before any of them were announced. Right? Every one of them that went in, Vader included, right? In the Steiners. And we advocated for them all, and then they ended up getting into the Hall of Fame. We have a very special power on this show. So I think that we need a champion who we want to see as the 39 class of the Hall of Fame. I think Lex Luger's in there. Nasty Boys.
Nasty's got to be in, man. Nasty's got to get a call, man. They got to get a call sooner or later, man, because we had some of the greatest matches, one of the greatest feuds ever. If like I say, for me, if it was ever a rivalry put together for me, it'd have to be in the tag team division, man. Harlem Heat against the Steiners, Harlem Heat against the Nasties, you know what I mean? Those, Harlem Heat against Lex Luger and Sting, you know what I mean? That was a pretty good combination right there. So yeah, man. So definitely, man, we got to take another break, man. I see we got super chats coming in like crazy.
But it is funny that you bring up Harlem Heat, but we'll talk about it here in a second.
Hey, man, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Wrestling is also brought to you by one of our major sponsors, Jerome Karam and Karam Investments for the Mainland City Center. Mainland City Center features 750,000 square feet of commercial property where you can eat, you can have fun, you can be entertained for the whole family. Mainland City Center is a Galveston County family entertainment and lifestyle destination for the whole family to enjoy. Mainland City Center, lifestyle fun, entertainment, family. You can visit them online at mainlandcitycenter.com. That's mainlandcitycenter.com. Paid monetary spokesperson for Walker, Texas lawyer.
Hall of Famer Booker T here, and I've been crushing opponents in the ring for over 20 years. But Walker, Texas lawyer, been crushing insurance companies in the courtroom for over 30. If you're injured, call Walker, and he'll crush the insurance company for you. Now, can you dig that? Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Brad Gilmore here as well. And we got super chats rolling in right now, man. So, Bradley, I think we need to do something, man. I think we need to do it now. You think we need to do it now?
I think just in 1 second.
Okay. Because I got a little something else I want to talk about as well. I got a couple things I want to talk about, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there was something that went off on social media a little bit ago, and I kind of thought that we should at least, I don't know, talk about it, because you did mention on the show that you were contacted to do Harlem Heat's last match. You didn't say contacted by who, but you said you were contacted, okay?
Right.
Well, your brother may have heard this news because he was posting on social media. Did you happen to see your brother on social?
Yeah, that's the first time I saw him in about a year and a half.
Yes, I know that y'all don't spend a lot of time talking to one another, but there he is, Stevie Ray, looking jacked. And he says in this post, I think I have one last match in me. I just want to know. I haven't asked you about this. I'm kind of throwing this at you right now, but I mean, does seeing your brother because you said you don't know, you can't speak for your brother. You didn't know if he'd be in shape, if he even be around to do another match. Does seeing him getting in shape in the gym, talking about a last match, does that trigger anything in your mind at all? Or are you still saying, I'm only going to wrestle at Reality Wrestling or WWE?
I mean, if my brother going to do a last, if he won't do one last match, for StarCast, I'll be there to watch it.
You're watching the sideline, you'll support?
I'll be in the front row. But as far as getting back in the ring and doing StarCast with Harlem Heat, it ain't happening. It ain't never happening ever again. You guys won't see Harlem Heat ever again in the ring together. It's over. It's done. And I'm just putting that out there because that's just the way I feel about it. Just you bringing it up right now, it triggers, certain things in me right now to just, make me, not feel not feel real good about, Harlem Heat doing anything ever again, honestly.
Okay. I'm sorry I even asked. But we can go because it was going to be the super chat. That's why I brought it up. The first super chat was about this. So again, we just answered that question for DJ 1491 saying Stevie Ray one last match, Harlem Heat with Charmel versus FTR at StarCast. Those green ducats would be long. You know what?
It ain't happening. It
not
ain't
gonna happen at StarCast.
Forget about it. It ain't happening ever. Okay. So I don't know. Like I said, you might see a Stevie Ray match at StarCast next year, but I won't be there.
All right. John Amazing says, well, we in Houston, so we just call it the H, which is another one. Maybe that's what Bruce was talking about. Maybe he said we call it the H.
Well, maybe being somebody from Houston, you might adopt that term, the H. I get it. You know what I mean? But like you say, it's on the Rockets jersey, H-Town. That's something that I've been saying for forever. Seemed like H-Town. I've been saying that forever. So I don't know where the term started. Okay, I didn't start it, but I know we've been saying it for a long time here in Houston. Okay.
What's the abbreviation for Friendswood? Is it F-Wood? Is that what?
No, I just call it the Woods.
The Woods. I'm actually writing that down. I like that. Where you at? I'm in the woods.
Yeah, yeah. You know
Go
what I
up
mean?
by me.
Exactly. You know what I mean? The woods. It sounds good, doesn't
It
it? Right?
does sound pretty good.
Yeah. That's what I've been saying forever. Yeah.
Have you really?
I
Because I
don't
guess
know if
sometimes Friendswood sounds like, oh, you're in Friendswood. You know, where's that? The woods. I'm
yeah.
in the woods.
I'm in the woods, I mean, especially, I mean, you're off the market and everything, but when you talking in certain code, what part of town you live in? I live in the woods. You know what I mean? It sounds good.
And you're talking in code.
you, you know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel you. Oh, that's funny. Ezekiel Miller says, I collect your figs. I'm assuming he means figures. Do you collect your action figures of you? I know you have a few. You got that.
That right there. I got all of my action figures. My son got a big wrestling ring set up in the other room. It's got every wrestler, that's pretty much been in the business. And he got about 20 of me, 20 different ones. It's pretty cool too. So yeah, I got them all. Man. I got a bunch of collectibles in the garage too. From all the old school, a lot, from Freddie Blassie, stuff like that. So yeah, man, like a bunch of Ric Flair stuff, like I better not say that too loud, but yeah, I got a bunch of stuff.
You're like, and you live in the woods, you say. Okay.
I got my 6 cameras around my house.
Oh yeah.
And I just got a dog. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Rover, all he do is just want to bite and bark something. I mean, bark and bite. I swear, man. So it's cool, man. We got a lot of protection around here.
Yeah. I would that your house would probably be like a burglar's worst nightmare.
Plus the cops out here in the woods. Oh, I love them. You go get arrested if your ass come through here and your tags don't register. You getting pulled over. You might go to jail. You might go to jail. Seriously.
They'll take you to the. I don't even know if there is a Friendswood jail. Is there a city jail? Do we have a city jail? There has to.
Oh yes.
Okay. So I'm oh yeah.
I had to go there and get fingerprinted. Yeah, seriously.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. We had another super chat, but you said there was something else that you wanted to talk about.
Man. With a comment I heard on Tony Khan. I was reading something, and he's saying, now he's worried more than ever with wrestlers perhaps jumping ship back to WWE. And that's the thing right now. I think guys right now are definitely in a place where they're the best place they've ever been in their lives, especially having a company like AEW around and someone like Tony Khan spending a whole lot of money. Talent is definitely going to be in demand right now because we talked about the war being on, but the war is really on now. When all it takes is one little crack, and everything could boom, just fall apart. I'm wondering the status of MJF, in AEW right now. What is going on with MJF? We know MJF supposedly had 2 years left on his contract. I know MJF is a guy who would. I've heard people say that he may not do that well in WWE, but I think the guy would, get the rocket put on him and go straight to the moon. I'm serious. What do you think about that right there? And just that the ripples perhaps in the business right now with, something like that happening?
I think 6 months ago or less, if an independent wrestler, and this is just honest, came up to me and said, hey, I got 2 deals on the table. I got WWE, I got AEW. Which one should I take? I would probably be inclined to say, look, for amount of money you could probably make and less dates and flexibility and freedom, maybe you should go to AEW. I mean, there's a lot of people who are in WWE. Maybe you have a better shot in AEW. Now, I wouldn't give them the same answer. And what has changed? I actually think WWE gained a lot from, lost a lot, but I think they gained a lot from the retirement of Vince McMahon because people are now excited about WWE again. You could just tell online. The whole online narrative, our comment section on videos that we post is completely different than it was a month ago. A month ago, it's everything they do sucks. Old man needs to get out of there. WWE didn't know how to push stars, blah, 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 blah. And not much has really changed other than who's in charge. The show, has definitely a different feel to it just from that first episode of Raw. But what a difference a month makes. Because now I think public support and even industry support is in the side of WWE where it was not there 30 days ago. It was not.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of goodwill has been bought with Triple H being the head of creative. And that's just a fact. And so now if I was Tony Khan, I'd say, oh, wow, it might not be an obvious choice to jump to AEW right now. Maybe some guys would go back to WWE. Oh, man, Triple H, he did do Black and Gold NXT. That's where you got the Samoa Joes and the Adam Coles and the Aleister Blacks and things like that. It definitely becomes a question. And I can understand it.
Yeah. It definitely changes the whole name of the game. And the war is on, man. The war is on. So I was just wondering, what your thoughts on, comments made by Tony Khan, being a little bit worried perhaps about the future of, AEW and the stars, this next generation. So I just wondered about that. But
if I could ask you though something real quick though on that, and I know we just talked about Tony on the last episode, and Tony Khan, you had some really nice things to say about you. But I do want to ask, he did an interview with Busted Open where he brought up the Aleister Blacks and the Adam Coles. He also brought up their contract length. And I'm not sure if that really matters or not, but I just want to ask you as a performer, do you care if the amount of years on your contract is out there in the public open? Do you mind that? I just don't really know. That's what I'm asking. I'm not saying it was right or wrong. I'm curious.
not really. It's not something that's going to bother me or anything. If the money is right and I'm under contract, I'm happy. It's just like me being under contract with WWE. I'm under a multi-year contract, and people say, "Man, why don't you go to AEW?" And I'm like, "Bro, I'm locked in. I'm gonna be here for a minute." And the thing is, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm happy with my deal. I listen to Finn Balor, and they was talking to Finn about this same issue, and why have he jumped ship, and what is his advice to guys that do want to leave? And you know what he said?
What's that?
Go. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
To the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Just chopping it up. Talking a little bit of sports and entertainment. Finn Balor. We were just talking about as far as Finn Balor being a guy who say, "Hey, man, if guys want to leave, they should leave." And they asked Finn Balor why why he stick around. And the thing is, you gotta look at a guy like Finn Balor. Just think about this for one moment. Finn Balor is a guy that had been out there on that independent scene working like crazy for years, literally years. Almost like a Kevin Owens out there on that independent scene, grinding. You know, and yeah, I don't know if a lot of you guys, they love the independent scene, but the wrestler on the independent scene, it's like being a starving artist. Okay.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like being a starving artist. You're working hard. You're giving the fans everything, everything you got every night, and you beat up, bruised, battered, and torn. You're not making a lot of money doing it. And these guys were doing it night in, night out, trying to, feed their families, whatnot. And then they finally get a big contract with WWE, and everything changes. They become stars. Their profile goes up. The bank account, of course, goes up. And they're in a stable position. And then all of a sudden, they're not getting what perhaps, just say, for instance, per se, the push on TV that one want, but they're getting paid. They're getting paid more than they ever made on the independent scene. They're living in a bigger house than they ever imagined they ever thought they would live in. And then they say, well, I'm not happy. I'm not bumping enough. I'm not taking enough bumps. I want to go somewhere else where I can go bump. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
Okay. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. To you, I don't know, Brad. You do which one would you want?
I'm all about, doing, this might sound bad, but doing the least amount of work for the most amount of money.
My point exactly. You know what I'm saying?
I hope that doesn't lose me any jobs here in the future. Don't use that against me, any future employers. But I'm just saying,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm not working, in a certain capacity and whatnot. You know what I mean? But everything that I work for, this should be it. To get to this point to where I don't have to break myself on a nightly basis. I'm gonna tell you, you go back and watch some of those matches Finn Balor had when he was out there on that independent scene. Go back and watch some of those matches.
Yeah.
And watch how hard that guy worked every night. Go watch it. It's just like a UFC fighter having to go out there and fight the number one contender every fight. It's gonna come a time where he just cannot train as hard. It's gonna come a time where I just can't push myself anymore. I just can't do it. It's gonna come that time, man. You know what I mean? So my thing is understand, what this thing is all about.
Yeah. To me, look, if you are like Finn Balor, and think about it, Finn has had kind of an up and down kind of career a little bit in WWE because he's had injuries. He's been out on the shelf. Then he went down to NXT, went back to WWE, back to NXT, back to WWE, right? But he understands what the whole purpose of this game is, right? I mean, this game is to make as much money as possible for as long as possible so you're set up for the rest of your life. And Finn Balor's at the 40 mark, right? So he's thinking, I'm not going to go down to AEW. And I'm just stylistically is all I'm talking about. I'm not going to go down to AEW where that work expectation is way higher in AEW than it is in WWE. You're expected to do a lot more in ring.
Let's rewind that. You're going to be expected to go out and do a whole lot more, unconventional wrestling. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
because I don't think you're not going to work any less hard in WWE from a working perspective, but from an unconventional wrestling style, such as, a dumpster match.
Right. Or a barbed wire.
A barbed wire match. You know what I mean? Even though the dumpster match was actually pretty good.
Dumpster match wasn't bad.
I like actually, I love the Acclaim, man. I just want to put that out there. But yeah, man.
Max Caster had a great line last night. we could talk about it later. But
Oh man, this rap was sweet, man. I swear to God, man. I love
I'm gonna make you retire like Vince McMahon.
that was sweet. Yeah. It was the last one. He said, you're just the ass boys.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that, man. That is so freaking good, man. But yeah, man, just know what this thing's all about, man. That's
Know what it's all about. Absolutely. But you know what? It's also about getting exposure, right? Being on television. You always said that television is worth its weight in gold. We have a question that we're going to answer here in just a second about our favorite wrestling themes of all time. But the reason why, before we get to that, I want to bring this up. Over the SummerSlam weekend, I had the privilege of interviewing a few guys, and one of them was the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, legend in the business, right? And I actually wanted to talk to him more about his music career because he was signed to Sun Records, for those of you who don't know, part of a group called the Gentrys. They're in Memphis. Sun Records is the same label that broke Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis Presley. So I wanted to talk to him about that. But your name did come up in the interview, talking about Booker T, Harlem Heat, of course, and WCW Saturday Night. Yeah. And Jimmy Hart had something really interesting to say about Booker T and the Harlem Heat back in WCW Saturday Night. And I just want to play it for you, Book, if that's okay, so you can react to it and see what you remember about the mouth of the South, what the mouth of the South is talking about. Here it is right now.
You know what? I really don't. And I'll tell you why. Because Booker T was so important. At one time, Eric Bischoff, for about 6 months before we closed down, gave me the Saturday Night show. Nobody wanted it. And I'd always go to Booker T and them and his partner, Stevie Ray, and I'd say, can y'all work on Saturday night? No matter how much they were on the road or anything, they never turned us down for that. So that Booker T and Stevie, I'll always be so grateful for that. Thank you so much. And we were doing great ratings. We were 2-1 ratings back then, 2-1, 2-3.
People will kill for that now.
Oh, my gosh, it's unbelievable. But because of them, and they were so important, they were so good. And I remember one time Hulk told me, he goes, man, I like this Harlem Heat. These kids are good. And I think he went to Eric and told Eric, he said, Harlem Heat should be the next team you should push. And I agreed with him. I went, you're right on that, baby.
There you go. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah,
talking about the importance of Harlem Heat, Booker T, and WCW Saturday Night. Do you remember that?
Yeah, man. Nobody wanted to work Saturday night TV. I don't know why. It was primetime TV, WTBS 605 every Saturday night. And I grew up on pretty much that show as far as, when I started watching, NWA wrestling. I used to love it. And just that time slot, I was always at home for some reason. And Jimmy Hart took over, and he was like, baby, nobody don't want to work the show for him. I can't get anybody to work the main event. And the NWO, those guys just think they're too big, to work on this in the show. And none of those guys, So I was like, I say, Jimmy, I was a TV champion. And I say, Jimmy, put me on every Saturday night. I say, main event every Saturday night. And I'm your guy. And I literally took off like a rocket when Jimmy Hart was running WCW Saturday Night, because I got a chance to highlight myself on a weekly basis in the main event every week. And that television was worth its weight in gold. So I thank Jimmy Hart for those kind words, but it was a pleasure doing it.
The mouth of the South, man. And you know what? I mean, he's a Hall of Famer 10 times over. And I think that people don't realize the contributions of Jimmy Hart, right? Because not only was he the mouth of the South and, great manager and a great character, just from the music that he contributed to the shows, from him producing shows like WCW Saturday Night, he's actually like Hulk Hogan's real life manager or something like that. He made sure Hogan made all the towns and did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
That guy, he's lived 1,000 lives. When we talked about it after that interview, he talked about, oh yeah, baby, I was in the studio when Elvis Presley recorded Burning Love. And, and he was talking about all these great things. And I'm just thinking, wow, the life this man has had and continues to have.
Yeah.
He's such a legend, such a legend.
No, man, I always loved Jimmy Hart, man. He was always that guy, man. Always had nothing but the highest form of respect for Jimmy Hart, man. Always a good dude, straight up.
And he's never out of gimmick. He's always got the shades, the jacket, and the megaphone.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen him outside of the shades. Yeah, I've never seen him without a megaphone in my life. In my
No,
life.
man, he lives it, man. He lives it on a daily. I think he does some stuff down there in Florida with Hogan's Beach too. I think he's a attraction now. Jimmy's always working, man. Always working. Seriously.
Does he do a lot of the cons? Do you see him at the cons?
See him, Jimmy, every now and then at the conventions. He's a guy that's definitely going to be making his rounds. But I know he does stuff like I heard a story about that Hogan's Beach. you ever been to Hogan's Beach, have you?
I haven't. No, I've seen it, but I've never been there.
You can take a picture with the world title for $100.
Got to make your money, brother.
Oh man, yeah, it's crazy, man. That's the way the old mouth flower.
I think we got to take a break.
We got to take a break, man. We got to take a break, and we still got a whole lot more. We got super chats coming up. Stick around, guys. We'll be back in a minute.
What's going on? It's WWE superstar Apollo Crews here. I just want to talk for a minute about what the Indies meant to me. Traveled up and down the road for a long time, and they meant so much to me. It was a huge part of getting me to where I am today, and that is a part of the WWE. I actually did some work with Booker in Houston, drove from Atlanta. Those drives, I feel like those drives that we take, 14-hour drives, those type of things develop some kind of character in you that you can't find anywhere else. The Indies mean a lot to me. Got to travel to Japan, Europe, UK, toured all over, and for me, it was just a huge part of helping me become the superstar that I am today. So I'm very grateful that I got to experience the Indies, and that's it for me.
What's up? This Booker T, two-time Hall of Famer. I know you're checking out The Shine, checking out The Gloss. I want to thank you guys for checking out Row on YouTube. Hey, don't forget to click and subscribe to check out all the latest content right here each and every week. Now, can you dig that, sucker? Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, six-time world champ, two-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me, as always. And man, we got a whole lot. We got a whole lot today. Super chats, all lined up. And Brad, I say, shall we?
Shall we? We shall.
Let's do
we
it.
shall. This is our first one of the day. It comes from Mr. Philadelphia. Hey guys, past or present, what are your top 3 favorite wrestling entrance themes? So, Book, I'm going to say that yours cannot be a part of this discussion because it's kind of a given. What are your top 3 wrestling themes? There's a few that come to my mind. We were just talking about Jimmy Hart on the last show. Sexy Boy. Shawn Michaels, Sexy Boy. Jimmy Hart wrote that song. And I think that's an iconic one, right? Real American by Hogan.
I think Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold, The Glass Shatter.
I think Thugonomics as well.
So the Thugonomics one or the My Time Is Now one?
Word Life.
The Word Life?
Yeah.
Word Life.
Yeah, I like that one right there, man. I mean, I'm serious, man. Cena was on top of his game, man, because he was just so corny. You know what I mean? I'm serious. It was so corny. It was
like, what'd he say? This the new fight joint. Like a broken needle, kid. You missing the point.
Yeah. See what I'm saying? You remember it, so he had something with that, man. You know, so that one, let's see what else.
So you got 2. You got Stone Cold's Thugonomics.
Of course, the original, you know, like from back in the day when Ric Flair used to make his entrance.
Whoa!
The robe. The Ric Flair from the NWA. That Ric Flair that back then was just unbelievably iconic. He was just so over the top from a character's perspective. And you go, wow. When you just saw him as a fan, you go, wow, who's this guy? You know, and he played the role, and the music was perfect. Who else? Give me one more. Ultimate Warrior.
You know, the Ultimate Warrior's theme song was great. I mean, it just fit him. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Fit him perfect. I like Warrior. I'm trying to think of some of the classic ones from back in the day. There weren't really like too many that were just, Razor Ramon's theme. Oh, the Razor Ramon theme. If you can't remember that one, that one was fly. It had a great little beat.
Wait a minute, what was it? Oh, that little salsa like sound.
Sorta, yeah. It had like a real cool.
It had like a little salsa sound to it. Yeah,
It might have. It had a real cool vibe.
yeah.
I mean, there's so
It
many.
had some percussion, some beats.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. What am I talking about? Triple H's theme. Time to play the game.
I mean, it was all right. That one didn't make me move. I always thought something was wrong with him. You know what I mean? That guy.
Yeah, Lemmy, Motorhead. I just love when they performed live. I think at WrestleMania 17. I think it was for Triple H. And I just remember at the beginnings, he goes, "We're Motorhead. We're gonna kick your ass." And then they started the song. I was like, "Oh, that's such a great intro."
Hey,
There've been a lot. There've been a lot of great themes. I mean, the DX theme, the NWO theme, of course. The Rock's theme was cool. I mean, there's been a ton. Jericho's.
look, we only needed 3. All right, we're
Walls
good.
of Jericho. I can keep going. Damn it. Our next one comes from Big Win. This says Harlem Heat versus Doom. Who wins?
Man, that's a tough one right there, bro. That's a tough one. I can't call it, man. I really can't call it. Ron Simmons was tough as they come. Butch Reed, straight up OG. Nothing but respect for those guys. I can't call it, man. I really can't, because it would have been a good one though. I really do think that would have been a really, really good contest, just because they're from the old school. We're not quite as far back old school as they were, but I think we cut from that same cloth, and I think it would have been a knockdown, drag out fight, but some good action in between from a wrestling perspective as well, because Ron Simmons and that spine buster, you know what I mean, that could be thrown in anywhere, you know what I mean. Butch Reed was more of a brawler, ground and pound like type guy. Kind of like my brother. So I think that would have been a really, really good matchup.
I would like to see it. Would there have been a Harlem Heat if not for Doom?
Yeah, I think so.
You think?
I don't think we labeled ourselves after Doom or anything like that. I think we, it was a wrestler back in the day, and it was a black wrestler. His name was Mr. Ebony, and he wore a mask, and we never knew who Mr. Ebony was. But Mr. Ebony was a job guy. He never beat anybody, but he looked good. He looked real good.
Yeah.
And I remember I still got a weight belt downstairs in my gym, and it has Mr. Ebony 2 on the back of it. And my brother and I had those weight belts made when we first started wrestling. He had Mr. Ebony 1, and I had Mr. Ebony 2. Actually, we had them before we started wrestling. We were in the gym. Mr. Ebony 1, Mr. Ebony 2. And I still have that weight belt still to this day.
Oh man, you gotta tweet a picture of that out. That's all.
I will. I work out with it almost every day. Seriously.
You gotta send that out.
I'll send it out. I'll send it out today. Seriously.
Because that was also kind of a wrestling trend for a while. Because there was a Mr. Wrestling, and then there was a Mr. Wrestling 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was Mr. Wrestling 2?
I don't know. I don't even know who Mr. Wrestling 1 was. I only knew who
Mr. Wrestling 2.
Yeah.
You don't hear about Mr. Wrestling 1.
And from what I'm told, he wasn't even Mexican.
Oh
this
man,
this is crazy about it. Yeah.
did you ever? You never worked under a mask. You worked with face paint on. But
No
did you ever
mask.
have to work under a hood?
Not once. Normally, if you come in and do job, that means come in and get beat up. You can put a mask on. I remember hearing stories about Kerry Von Erich having to do a job one time back in the old days, and he put a mask on to go out and do the job, but he still wore his Kerry Von Erich robe.
Kerry. Modern day warrior.
I don't know if that's a true story or not.
Yeah, it sounds
But
like it has to be
it's
true.
been told several times, man. But oh, what a
And
story.
you shared locker rooms with Kerry Von Erich, right?
Yeah, man. Actually, had the pleasure and the privilege of going to the Virgin Islands with Kerry Von Erich and Kevin Von Erich. We worked for a guy by the name of Jeep Swenson back in the day. He actually played in the Batman movie, one of the early Batman movies. He was big, jacked up. I think he was Baines or somebody.
Oh yeah, Bane. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this dude was so big, man. Got us booked in the Virgin Islands. One of my first trips, I got a chance to take, get on the plane. I went to Japan, got a chance, get a chance to go to Korea. Then I got a chance to go to the islands. And man, the Virgin Islands, what a trip, bro. What a trip. Young man, going to the island. And the thing is, I didn't even know I was famous. This is when I really realized I knew I was, kind of like getting famous. I was on TV on ESPN, but it was just a Global Wrestling Federation. But we went to the Virgin Islands, nothing but black folks. We get off the plane. Everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew who my brother was. We were like superstars in the Virgin Islands, right? And Jeep Swenson had I guess he was paying us $3,000, I think, for the tour. I think it was like 4 days or something like that. And I just came back from Japan, so I had some money in my pocket, so it was cool. I didn't care. He gave us $500 when we landed, and that's the only money we got for that trip. The shows were all messed up. It was good. I mean, it was the worst, as far as shows go, but it was the best trip I ever had in my life. I was at the green room every night. This little club, man. It was, yeah, I'm telling you, man, the Bahama Mamas. It was great. It was. I'm talking about drinks. I'm talking about the drinks. Okay,
Drinks, not the women.
That's what I'm talking about. It was the best trip I ever had in my life, man. Jeep Swenson, he's passed on now, but trust me, when I see him on the other side, I'm gonna be looking for the rest of that money.
I guess that was a nice early introduction into what to expect sometimes.
That's the first time I ever lost money on a tour, on a trip, on a show or anything. That's the only time I ever. But you know what? I really didn't care. They had us set up in a spot, bro, a bungalow, literally right on the beach. Okay. They brought us Heineken every night. It was the most beautiful thing. It was the most beautiful thing in the world. I did not want to go home. I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay there forever. That's how nice it was. That $500 was like gold to me. I didn't care if I didn't get there. I had a plane ticket home. That's the only thing I needed. But the trip, it was like the best vacation for a young man could ever have. That he didn't have to pay for. And he got paid $500 and a room. You gotta love it. We gotta take a break, man. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. Those are the trips, man. Those are the trips. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, and Diego De La Cruz now, obviously the veteran here between the two. Wait a minute. Head scissor. Les hits a head scissor. That takes some crazy athleticism. Splash. Les is showing us what he's got. Oh my gosh, cover 1, 2, and oh man. Ada Cristiano Vera, now it's Bedlam. It's Bedlam. It's a brawl. It's a brawl here at the Summer of Champions.
Coquito.
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame, guys. I'm here on ESPN 975-925, bringing everything to you, sports and entertainment and everything above. Where we at, man? Where we at?
We have a couple more super chats, but before we get to them, I did have another thing I wanted to share with you. I want to get your professional opinion and reaction to it. We know that Logan Paul has signed with the WWE. We know that he wants to make a real run at this. The head of talent relations and creative, Triple H, sat down an interview with him, but he was talking more so about what it takes to be a great wrestler. Okay, what it takes to be a great performer. And this clip went somewhat viral all over the internet just yesterday. And I kind of want to get your reaction to what Triple H said and if you agree or disagree. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is Triple H talking on Impulsive with Logan Paul.
I got to be an entertainer. And you told me that.
I said it to
at
you,
WrestleMania.
Right? Because I feel like that's the gap that people have, right? Even our talent that have been doing this a long time. It's not the moves, right? It's not the – it's like watching a movie. How many movies have you seen with crazy budgets and special effects and CGI that visually you go like, holy shit, that's amazing, right? And no one cares.
Story
The movie bombs. Right. There's no story. No one really fully cares, right? Because it's not about the moves, what we do. It's about what you do in between. It's the characters and the story. That's why I was saying to you, like you know what you're doing, right? You've walked through this. You've done it. You're ready to go. You know the moves. You're an athlete. Dude, crazy good athlete that has picked this up like that. That's not easy to do. I've only seen it less than a handful of people be able to do what you've done.
Thank you.
Right? That's amazing, and you should be proud of that. But the truth is, the athleticism, all those other things, I can make a way longer list of terrible athletes that were incredibly over in this business than I can crazy athletes that were the be-all, end-all, right? People that are fanatics about what we do go like, oh, my God, the match was so good. Those guys are so good right now. Everybody else is like,
Yeah.
Remember the two guys had a good match. I don't remember what their.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, I don't remember what their names were, but they I guess they had a great match. Talking more so about the moments being more important. What do you think about Triple H's advice to Logan Paul, and do you agree or disagree with?
I agree with him 100%. As far as, just like, say, for instance, the movie Bronx Tale.
Mm-hmm.
De Niro in that movie, man, he did a whole lot of scenes, just with his face, just looking a certain way, and just those looks was so much, they told a story, just the looks. Hunter and I, we was talking a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about when he was in the movie Blade, okay? And he was saying this one actress in the movie, she would be doing her scene so nonchalant, like she didn't give a damn. Excuse me, my language. Make sure you bleep that. Like she did not care at all about, how she was acting. All right. And everybody, him and a lot of other people was looking at her like, she's not even trying. Like, what's going on with her? And everybody, and they thought they were really acting. And then he said they saw some of the rough footage of it, and everybody looked out of place except her. You know what I mean? And he's like, man, he learned so much how not to try to act. Just do it. It'll come out a whole lot better, and that's what wrestling is, when you think, you got to go out here and tie up a certain way or look a certain way, you're really overdoing it. It's so much less than people actually think it is, as far as going out there and really, creating and making yourself become a really, really big star. Using Shawn Michaels for an example, Shawn Michaels may be considered as, a high flyer, right?
Yeah.
what did he do?
Not a lot of high flying.
Exactly my point. But he made
Elbow and a moonsault. No,
exactly, you know what I mean? So he made you feel like he was, though. He made you, and that's what good wrestlers do. They take you to that point to where, they make you feel a certain way about them in general, and what they want you to see. That's what they form. That's how they mold you. For me, there again, I know a lot of people may think I was kind of like a high flyer from a certain perspective, but I hated being on the top rope. I was so afraid being on the top rope. Harlem Hangover, you can count on both hands how many times I did it, before on television. You can. I didn't do it that drop kick. I did that, but I hated doing it. But I always tried to give the perception and make people believe that I could do it when, I was just trying to make them, I have a saying, you don't actually have to know how to do it. You just have to act like you know how to do it. I think that's what I was doing pretty much.
Yeah, Triple H also said in the same interview, he was talking about learning the craft. And I hear you actually talk about this to our students at the Reality of Wrestling is it's not so much about the move, it's what you do in between the move.
Before and after.
Before and after, excuse me. Yes, before and after. And Triple H said one time he was working with Scott Hall and they were doing the towns, and Triple H did this big move and the crowd started to pop, and they were laying down and Triple H got right up and then went to the next spot, right? And then he said Scott came up to him after. He goes, "Hey, bro, why'd you move out there? Keep laying down. The crowd's going to come to you, right?" And then so he said the next night they went out there. They did the same spot. And he could hear Scott Hall go, "Don't move a muscle, bro. Don't move." And he said, "So we're just laying there." And he said, "I feel like we were laying there for an eternity." And then you started to feel a rumble from the crowd. And you started to hear them start to scream. He goes, and then it was just deafening in the room. And we weren't doing anything except laying.
Yeah.
And he said, that's when I started to really figure this whole thing out. And I've heard you preach that. And again, credit to Logan Paul. He's done phenomenally in the 2 times that we've seen him, but they have been athletic-based performances. I'm not expecting him to be a world-class worker, but I think that is great advice to a lot of the young generation.
Oh, but you got to have both. You got to be able to go out and perform as well as, and knowing your craft is one thing, but being able to have that extra, athleticism when you can go out there and perform and pull off those certain moves. Yeah, that's just icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. I say guys that can do that, go out there and do it, but just know when to do it. Just go back to a guy like Carlito. When Carlito first came in biting the apple, he was just the ultimate heel. He just went out and beat guys up, and he did it very, very well. And then they turned him babyface. And I saw him do a deal where he ran up to the ropes, jumped up on the second rope, did a moonsault, landed on his feet. And I caught him in the back. I go, "Bro, I didn't know you could do that stuff." He goes, "There's no reason to do it." I was like, this dude's smart. You know what I mean? That's like, he's so freaking smart, So yeah, it's just, just because you could do it, don't mean do it. And when you need to do it, just know when to do it. I think that's something that guys need to really, really understand, because for me, just say, for instance, I didn't like doing, different moves every week. I would go out and do, most of the same moves, but I might add one twist in, or I might add one move in. And then 3 weeks to a month later, I add something else, just so the fans could actually see me growing over a period of time and adding stuff to my repertoire, opposed to knowing, Dean Malenko, 1,000 holes, knowing 1,000, knowing every hole in the book. You know what I mean? They saw me evolve, so I think that's what, kind of like make wrestlers a little bit different and unique in a certain way.
I agree. But again, though, that perception, I mean, you almost have to develop a sixth sense for this game, right? To know, like to go back to the Triple H and Scott Hall story, to know to lay there and to not get up, to develop that keenness to the audience. You can only do that with reps, right? I mean,
yeah, no, I think reps is one thing, but training, for me, is something that's very, very important. I think that's something that he's going to have to be taught. It's not something that he's going to just instinctively know to go out there and do that, because there again, I was 12 years in the business, came to WWE and learned something, one of my first house shows. And I go, wow, why did I not know that? So it's just learning. And sometimes it takes someone telling you, hey, no, don't do that. Now, man, stay there, because I remember being in a match where I'm laying there and you look over and say, just stay right there, man, just stay right there. The crowd's going crazy, and then you go, man, we got him. Man, we got him. And you can actually talk to each other like that to where it feels so awesome. And like you said earlier, it's deafening. You can't hear anything. Everything is just freaking, it's loud as it can be at a fever pitch, So yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Phenomenal. Well, hey, we have one more segment to do. I guess we'll take all your super chats. So if you have a question, get it in right now before we go to break, and we will answer them all in the next segment because people want to know about WrestleMania. People want to know about a lot of things, Booker T. So we'll talk about it.
Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
What the indie world meant to me. It was kind of like when you were an artist and you start, like for example, a comedian, you start playing the small clubs. If you're a band, the same thing. You start playing the small clubs, you kind of learn your repertoire, you learn how different audiences react. There's like maybe more hostile environment, and it's way more personal because there's less people there. There's less of like things around. It's just you and the audience, and I feel that's when you really learn your craft. That's when you learn how to adapt, how to change, how to find something that works. So to me, it's kind of the foundation to everything I do. And that's Big E. And that's his foundation to everything he does.
Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. We're getting ready to roll on, guys. We got a whole lot to get in here in this last segment. So I say, let's do it. Do it now. I do it for you.
All right. This comes from P Serious. I watched WrestleMania 18. I forgot how funny your interview was when you wore glasses and talked about Einstein's theory of relatives.
I tell you, man, they used to write some good stuff for me back then, man. It was just being able to go out there and deliver it. Was the deal, for me. I always was able to, change things up, make it a little bit more comfortable for me. But I remember doing like some of the stupidest stuff. And there again, I give a lot of credit to Brian Gerwitz because he was writing like so much stuff for me back then. A guy Gerwitz could take, credit for guys like myself, guys like The Rock. I don't think we would have had the careers. I really don't think we would have had the careers that we had if it wasn't for Brian Gerwitz. He made all of us look so freaking good.
And I believe he's got a new book coming out soon. So go over to Amazon, check it out. It's definitely something I'm going to read. Cali Toenail says Sports Skeeta had Harlem Heat as #1 tag team of 5 to come back and face the Usos. And Stevie Ray tweeted the link. One more match, you down? Well, we kind of answered that here a minute ago. But, people do want to see one more match. Big Win says, is Rick Martel in? I think he means the Hall of Fame.
You know what, man? You know what? I think Rick Martel should be in the Hall of Fame. Even though I heard him say a few bad words about me and say I was pretty much me and my brother. So I started it and my brother finished it. But nah, man, I always thought Rick Martel was like one of the best workers the business ever produced. And for me, I couldn't get a chance. I couldn't wait to get a chance to get in the ring with him when he came to WCW. And I actually thought Rick Martel and Perry Saturn was like one of the greatest nights of my wrestling career. It really was.
That's awesome.
I mean, and you go back and watch that match. I mean, because it was so freaking awesome. I wrestled Rick Martel and I end up beating him, and Perry Saturn hits the ring immediately when I get the win, and the match continues from that point right there, and I end up coming out with the victory over Perry Saturn, and it was like my Iron Man classic. It really was. It was an awesome, awesome match. If you get a chance, check it out.
Definitely check it out. Speaking of from one match to another, Baddest Son says, Book, do you remember beating up Virgil on Nitro? Please react to it. The way you were swinging on him had me hollering for 40 minutes.
I don't know. It was probably because I always wanted to beat up Virgil. I don't know why. Man, I'm serious, man. I always wanted to beat Virgil up. When I used to see him in the WWF working for Ted DiBiase, for some reason I just wanted to get my hands on him. And when he got to WCW, I finally got a chance to do it. So yeah, man, that was a great night for me.
Cali Toenail says, any chance you guys popping up at SoFi Stadium next Thursday for WrestleMania launch party? If not, don't trip. The Hall of Fame will be represented by yours truly.
You know what, man? I saw something about that. Wale's going to be there, right?
I don't know. I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, I think Wale's going to be there. I saw my name. I saw that I might be there. I'm not sure, but I think I saw my name on a piece of paper. Let's just say that. So I'm not going to say 100%, but I might be there.
All right. Well, there you go. FPGM Loso says Wardlow and Andrade looking to jump ship. I don't know if that's a rumor, if he's starting that rumor. I think Andrade we've seen in WWE before. I think that he'd probably be more successful now. Wardlow's got World Wrestling Entertainment literally written all over him.
Oh, yeah, he does. I'd love to see Wardlow, as well as Andrade come back to WWE, because he's not doing anything significant in AEW. Not saying that he's not doing it, not going out and performing. He's performing, but you think about Andrade's in WWE, and he had some star on him. You know what I mean? He had some upside, but I don't know. I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong. I don't want to just be throwing this out there. But how do you feel about Andrade's and El Idolo?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the most significant thing Andrade has done since leaving the WWE hasn't even been on AEW television, and that was the Ric Flair's last match. If you were to tell me name an Andrade match after he left WWE, I'd say, oh, he tagged with Ric Flair for Ric Flair's last match. I'm
serious. I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that.
I think that he's somewhat been, I don't want to say mishandled either, because I can't really think of the angle that he's been in to say, oh, they didn't do this right, or they didn't follow up with him. I do, however, think he's the kind of guy who could be very successful in WWE, and there's a spot open for him right now. I mean, WWE has always wanted that next big Hispanic star, the next big Mexican star after Rey Mysterio, and I don't think they've ever been able to find it. They tried with that Del Rio for a little while. He looked like he may have been the guy. I really think Andrade, that's an international player right there. They have Damian Priest, who represents for the Hispanic community, obviously, but I think that Andrade could be a mega star. I mean, we're talking, because if his work matches everything else he does, he's a Hall of Famer. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, I'm just saying, man. I just feel like that myself. So yeah, man, both of those guys would definitely fit in, especially a Wardlow. I really think that dude, like you said, got WWE written all over him. So yeah, I see both of those guys doing something.
Yeah. And now after this conversation, we're gonna hear how long their contracts are. Just watch. Virgil Dawkins says, I love how WWE booked the finish to Lesnar Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. It was nearly impossible to beat Brock. So when he comes back, he's still a legit money threat. Yeah.
Do everything but the kitchen sink at him, bro. That's what I loved it. You know,
it was great.
It wasn't about the match. I mean, even though the match what it was, you know what I mean? But the finish, I always thought, man, leaving those fans going to their cars feeling a certain way is very important and sometimes just jumping off the top rope ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? So those guys went out and really that was show business at its finest. And it was put together very, very well. So yeah, I need more of that. I need a whole lot more of that. Yeah.
I loved it. Cali Toenail says, y'all think the Will Smith apology was legit or PR? Did you see that, Booker? Did you see Will Smith?
Yeah, I did, man. I did. I mean, Will Smith got a whole lot of, damage control he got to do, man. Anything he can do, he need to do it. Because what he did was one of the stupidest things, if not the stupidest things I ever seen a black man do on television in my life. Outside of me calling Hogan the N-word. How do we throw that in there? Just so no one will be talking about, Booker T putting himself. No, I'm serious. Because that is not something that we as men of color need to be doing to each other on national television, worldwide. It's just not something that's supposed to happen. It's just not. And I know a lot of people, may be afraid to even use that connotation and use those words as far as setting us back, you know what I mean, doing something like that. Because when people see something, that's the way they perceive it.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Perception's reality.
It really is. And that's not the way we should be acting ever in public. And my thing has always been knowing how to change my levels. Just say, for instance, if we was at a bar, and that same thing happened, I might have slapped him. But we at the Oscars. Okay. Know how to change your levels. And you would think Will Smith would know that. But say what?
No, I'm just like, yeah, when you put it that way, we're at the Oscars, Will. Come on, man.
Just think about it for a second. That's all you got to do. And you go, wow, this dude did the stupidest thing one could ever think of.
I think, look, do I think that he's sorry? Yeah, I definitely think that he's sorry that he did that. Do I think that was it legit or PR? I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, I think that to take 4 months to put together a 5-minute pre-produced video on your own YouTube channel might be a little long of a lapse there to come out with a public apology. But I thought a lot of it was damage control. He said that Chris Rock isn't ready to talk to him yet, and he said he'll let him know when he's ready.
Bet his lawyer is.
I bet you. How sorry do you want to be?
I bet his lawyer ready to talk to him.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was a mixture of both. Obviously, I think that he's probably apology. Will that be enough for the people who are now anti-Will? I don't think so. Am I personally anti-Will? No. I mean, I think the way he did was completely stupid and ridiculous. Would I see another Will Smith movie? Yeah. If they come out with Bad Boys 4 on their opening weekend.
I'm not.
You didn't like the last one?
Bad Boys for Life. That was the worst movie ever produced.
It's not the worst one ever produced. Now, is it the worst series?
That was the worst movie ever produced. Bad Boys for Life. I'm not a big. And the thing is, I'm not a big Will Smith fan.
Well, that might be part of it.
That might be part of it.
Now, the one that he had, Gemini Man or whatever, that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Well, I like the concept of Gemini Man.
Well, what's funny is the concept of Gemini Man was like the same concept of Bad Boys for Life. No. Except, instead of a clone of himself, it was his son the whole time trying to kill him.
But I'm just saying, the concept of Gemini Man was good.
Okay, we got a couple more to get to because we have to wrap here. FPGM Loso says Miro, too. It was reported today that Miro might want to leave AEW. I didn't hear that.
Miro's having a good run in AEW, I think. I really do. I would think Miro would actually be happy.
And our last one is Kid says, will there be a Reality of Wrestling Tough Enough series, perhaps?
We're working on something with Reality of Wrestling. Actually, I don't want to give it away or anything right now, but stay tuned. And, something big might be getting ready to pop off with Reality of Wrestling real soon.
We'll keep it on the hush-hush. But those are our Super Chats today. Thank you all to our listeners for making it happen. It's been another great edition of the Hall of Fame, Book.
Hey, man, as always, I want to thank all you guys, man, for making it happen. And I guess I just wanted to let you guys know also that the YouTube channel is onward and upward on its way to 700K, guys. I want to thank you guys for getting us over 600K. And right now, like I said, we're moving pretty quick. So we appreciate you guys for all the hard work, for getting the word out. It's all about reality of wrestling. It's all about being tonight the Hall of Fame, getting these champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Appreciate you, Bradley. As always, we out.